Hey viewers and viewresses, my name is General Red Strategist and welcome back to the land of Surrey being hunted for another podcast style episode with myself, General Red Strategist. That's a very different intro to what I usually do, but here we are once again. It's been a interesting day today. It's a Sunday as of when I record. It's just before I'm going to have my evening meal. Just thought I'd quickly slot in a recording session, do some Surrey being hunted, something to add to the upload schedule and all that. Because the thing is, I've had a little bit of a DIY project in my flat today. So I've made a start. Basically, ladies and gentlemen, I've been sort of moving a few things around in my little sort of study office in my flat, where I have my computer set up and all that. Essentially, I've moved my computer over towards the window of the room so that I can accommodate a new bookshelf in my room. Big IKEA Billy bookcase. Which it's quite a substantial one. It's not like one of the thin ones. It's a pretty big one. It's designed to have sort of double Oxburg glass-faced doors on it. So I've just spent the afternoon basically putting together the bookshelf itself. Now I haven't put the doors on it yet, which I think is probably a project for another day. Because I'm just wondering, do I need to sort of fix it to the wall? Get some because the thing is, it came with a couple of little brackets that you can use to fix to the top of it and then fix it to the wall so it gives it extra stability, which I don't know. I don't know necessarily if I'll need them, but maybe it'll be best just to use them. I don't know. I could always try using them and all that. I'm sure it'll be fine, but in order to do that I'm probably going to need to buy myself a step ladder, an actual proper one, so I can actually climb up and look at the top of it. And also probably what I want to buy as well, you know how you can sometimes actually get those, I think they're like little sort of handheld metal scanner things that you can use for DIY. Basically, you run it along the wall, and if it goes over, if you hover it over a bit of the wall where there's metal in it, whether that's like wires or pipes or struts, anything like that, it'll basically beep and tell you. So that way you know that you're basically aware that you can't drive a nail into that point. If usually you use them if you're putting nails into walls for so you can put up pictures, things like that, hang up pictures. It's just a way of making sure there's nothing underneath the wall where you're putting the nail in, so that way you don't accidentally, say, bust into a pipe or something like that. So I probably want to get myself one of those before I start kind of hammering into the wall. And like I say, I need a step ladder as well, because it's a pretty damn tall bookcase. Now, I knew it was tall when I bought it, but actually sitting here now looking at it, pretty damn tall. It doesn't take up, it's not floor to ceiling, but there is still about maybe a foot or just over between the top of it and the ceiling, so it's pretty big, just to put it that way. And I do like it. But yeah, I think I want to secure it to the wall probably first before I put the doors on it. Because the thing is, I've got lots of plans about what I'm going to use it for. Because the thing is, my little sort of study / office, I also want to kind of make it into my little man cave room. Because if you've been watching my Danganronpa series, you will be aware I am now the proud owner of my very first anime figurine, ladies and gentlemen. Or namely, I should say, video game inspired figurine. Kaide Akamatsu from Danganronpa V3. Got myself a little figurine of her. But the thing is, I haven't really got anywhere to put it at the moment. So at the moment, she's just sort of sat in her box. So what I need to do, basically, is finish up this shelf, get the doors on it, put her on one of those. I might then move all my sort of anime DVDs and my manga onto it as well. Free up space elsewhere in my flat. And that way, once I get the sort of glass-fronted doors on it, it just means that, they won't attract dust or anything like that. Makes cleaning a lot easier, etc. But there's other things I might put on there as well. Because you know how in a previous episode I also mentioned I was, getting back into Lego, stuff like that, indulging my inner child. I might also move all the Lego sets that I currently have onto those shelves as well. So once I get, obviously again, the glass-fronted doors on, I can move them on there. Because the problem with Lego frigging gathers dust like crazy. If you own any Lego sets, you will know what I'm talking about. Because the thing is, at the moment, when my Lego sets are, I've got them on a windowsill. But of course, what that means is, whenever I open the window on a hot day, or just on any day in general to let some air through the flat, it stirs the dust up, and obviously like dust and any like bits of, you know, dust carried on the breeze, anything like that, it settles on them. So really, I want to put them on a shelf where they're out of the way of the windows, but also, on a shelf with cabinet doors on them. So they're glass fronted, so you can see in and you can look at what's inside. You can see the Lego sets, you can see what's in there, but you don't have to worry about dust getting on it, which would be an absolute win-win, even better, and all that. So that's the plan, ladies and gentlemen. But having said that, that's not the topic of conversation that I really wanted to talk about in this podcast-style episode. What I really actually wanted to talk about is sort of something that's been on my mind. I sort of thought about it, actually, just before I started recording. And, so in essence, I think have I talked before about board games here on the channel? I think I probably have done. I've mentioned that, I've been looking to buy some more board games, just for my flat in general, for when I have visitors, or, if ever I'm going away visiting friends or family back up north, I can always take a couple of board games with me, that kind of thing. Because, I have family members who love board games and that sort of stuff. So I think I've talked before about, how I have a couple of board games now. I have, obviously, Scrabble, which is an old kind of classic word game and all that. But also now I have Azul, the sort of the tile-based point scoring game, and I also have a version of Ludo that has like an Alice in Wonderland theme to it. So I've got those, and also apart from that, I've also got a big set of dominoes as well, which is pretty good. But what I was actually thinking, sorry, got getting dust on my throat, probably stirred up from where I've been moving all my furniture around to accommodate this new frigging bookcase. No, as I was saying, I was just thinking about board games and thinking about when people have tried to adapt board games into video games. And what I mean by that is, I don't mean just sort of straightforward computerized versions of the board games, because like you look on Steam, there'll be tons of, for example, like video games you can buy on Steam that are basically just faithful computerized versions of chess, where you just play a standard game of chess or whatever. And I've searched, for example, on Steam for, just out of curiosity, things like Ludo, for example, and sure enough, there are tons of video games that are basically just a pretty straightforward version of Ludo, for instance. And you can get Monopoly as well. But I was sort of curious, actually, about kind of more sort of imaginative video game adaptations that use certain board game mechanics, and particularly like classic board game mechanics, as a base for their gameplay. So not necessarily straightforward video game adaptations of things like chess or Ludo, but things that use kind of them as an inspiration. So I was kind of looking back through my Steam library, and I realised one of the games I do have is an old 1990s sort of turn-based kind of action, slightly sort of horror game called Gorky 17. Some of you may have heard of it. And it's a game that I would probably be interested in doing on the channel at some point. But from what I understand, its gameplay is actually very much inspired by chess, in the sense that your characters who you control, the way they move, it's like you're playing a game of chess. So that got me kind of thinking about other classic board games and whether they've ever been used as bases for the gameplay mechanics of other video games. I was actually thinking, for example, about Ludo, because Ludo is actually really straightforward as a board game. If you don't know what Ludo is, it's basically the board game where you can have up to 4 players, and each player has about 4 tokens of a certain colour. And everyone has like a starting point somewhere on the board, and basically it's basically you're racing all your pieces around the board. And in essence, the idea is each of your tokens or your pieces or whatever, you have to get them round a full sort of clockwise or whichever direction it is, kind of revolution round the board, and then you have to like get them into the middle of the board, and basically whoever gets all 4 of their pieces to the centre of the board first is basically the winner. And I'm sort of curious, actually, because I feel like that would kind of lend itself. You could sort of design a video game which uses that as a kind of basis, and then you could sort of build on that and add some mechanics of your own to it. For example, you could have sort of like a turn-based game where, you have a story of, say, like a character trying to get to, I don't know, like a treasure or something, and then, for all the different squares on the board, they have to sort of like get to the treasure without being caught by, say, like an AI controlled player who like plays the role of, I don't know, like a villain in the story or something. And then every square on the board, or maybe like certain squares, if you land on them, maybe it gives you certain effects or power-ups or debuffs or whatever. I feel like, yeah, Ludo as a board game, just the basic concept of it probably would lend itself to a video game adaptation of some form, and I think you could probably get quite imaginative with it. Like I say, it wouldn't have to be a straightforward adaptation of Ludo. You could create like a whole set of characters and stories and just use the basic premise of Ludo as sort of like the kind of basic underpinning logic of the gameplay mechanics, to put it that way. But yeah, Gorky 17, going back to that one, that's definitely a game I want to play on the channel. And like I say, as far as I'm aware, it basically uses kind of the mechanics of chess as its own gameplay basis. Like I say, in that certain characters who you control in the game move in ways similar to chess pieces in basically a turn-based system. I'm basically repeating myself. I should stop saying basically. I've said that several times now. But yeah, apart from obviously chess and Ludo, what other classic board games could you use? Probably like checkers or drafts. That would probably lend itself as well. I mean, granted, checkers or / drafts is kind of more basic, so you could probably use it as a base, but you probably have to add a load of mechanics of your own to it as well, admittedly, so that way it's not just kind of a very basic characters moving diagonally across a map that is effectively a kind of board. Yeah, I'm sort of wondering, like, I'm trying to cast my mind back, other types of classic board games, apart from things like chess or drafts or Ludo. I call them classic board games because obviously, if you look through history, chess and drafts and Ludo, they have their roots in ancient board games. In fact, actually, ancient board games, what about that, what the one that today we call Go, but back in ancient China would have been called Wei Qi, which is the one about sort of where you have lots of tokens on a board. It's just about finishing the game with more tokens than the adversary has. And it's like you start off. It's basically you have white and black pieces. It's kind of like a two-player game, and basically you, if you place a tile of your colour adjacent to one of your opponent player's colour, then it changes the opponent's player ones to your colour. And the idea is, like I say, you have to just fill up as much of the board as possible with pieces of your own, so that whoever has the most is the winner at the end of it. I wonder if you could use that as a basis for a video game. I'm sort of curious as to what what kind of story you could weave around those game mechanics. Something like that. It would be challenging, but I don't think it would be necessarily impossible. And like I say, maybe you could add mechanics of your own to it. You can maybe have certain types of pieces, to put it that way, that maybe have certain effects. So it's sort of like a modern, video game interpretation of Wei Qi or something. But yeah, Ludo in particular, I think, would be a one that would lend itself even very well to a video game adaptation of some kind, which, like I say, creates its own story and its own characters, but uses Ludo as sort of the basic premise for its video game mechanics or whatever. So yeah. Alright, well, I think we're probably going to wrap the episode up about now, because looking at time, I need to go and check my oven, because I'm cooking my evening meal as I record this. And it's going to be ready in a few more minutes. So what I need to do is wrap up here, then I need to basically go put the kettle on, start making myself a cup of tea, ladies and gentlemen. But, if you want to engage with this little topic, ladies and gentlemen, even though it's only a short episode, let me know. Are there any other classic board games that I haven't really thought of here that you think would, with a bit of creative liberty, lend themselves very well to using them as sort of like the basis or the basic premise for the mechanics of a video game. Because that's the thing, you know. In video game design, when you're sort of starting off, you probably just use like a really simple concept, don't you, for a video game, and then you just build up on it from there. So yeah, let me know in the comments any ideas on your part, ladies and gentlemen. But other than that, we'll wrap up here. So social media and propagandist channel links are down in the video description for anyone interested. If you enjoyed, a like is of course always appreciated. But other than that, I'm going to sign off now. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why I said that again. Goodbye, everybody. Damn it, this inventory really is not good, is it? God, this is like... What? Ooh! Fucking hell! God, that scared the shit out of me! No, 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 you fucking don't, you son of a bitch! You fucking sharky ass! Sharky ass? What? Shark? Ooh, no, 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 you bitch! It's a tiger shark! Fuck you! God, that music! I knew something was wrong as soon as I heard the fucking music. Still doing it now. Go! Oh my god! Ah! Better patch myself up. No, 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 you fucker! You've got hold of me. What the hell? I'm somehow riding a shark. What is going on?